T-shirts. I wanted to use photo. Um, I took it the museum field trip today, so I've got um, this Hindo goddess, lots of arms that I'm going to use, and I am using the snip tool almost entirely. So here's the photo, and you can copy paste if it'll let you. So if you can right click and copy, cool. You can come to Photoshop and just open Photoshop, and the screen will look different, but you just find where it says File New and make it an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. So that should be a default here. If it's not, you type it in here. And if you know that you need tall and skinny versus short and wide, great. And then let's see if it'll paste it. Yep, there it is. And it's a nice and big. So over here you see it made a new layer. The layers are like the most important thing to have open in Photoshop. If you don't ever see this tab or you can't find it, it's going to be under Window and then Layers. Okay. So to resize in the program, it's Control T for transform, and grab those handles and drag them in. And I'm going to get it the size that I need so that it fits in the screen. And then you have to hit enter or check mark to apply. So now I have free range of my layer over here. And then cutout background, there's lots of tools, and there's some in beta that are even better. But for now, I'm going to use the object selection tool. So one of these other tools might be behind it. So any of these that have a little triangle behind them, right click. Object selection takes a minute to run, but it's a smart tool, and it can kind of sense what's background and what's object. So if you give it a minute, it's going to, awesome, put those marching ants is what I call these, but the selection dots around what I want, not the background. And it's kind of the same thing. You can Control C to copy those pixels inside of there, and then Control V to paste. And if you see over here on layers, now this is alone. It's not on the background. At this point, because we're doing halftone filter, I wouldn't mess around, but you can use the eraser tool. Why won't the eraser tool work? Because I'm on the wrong layer. So pushing the eyeball makes a layer visible or invisible. Making it gray is what makes it active. So I'm going to find that eraser tool. I overdid it on the foot a little. Control Z. So and then the zoom tool here also works. So if you want to get in a little closer, but again, don't be too fussy because we're going to filter this and it's going to be great. Okay, so I've got this to work with now, and everything in this program, you're going to have to make it black and white. So there's 100 ways to do that. The way that I'm going to show you is up here under image and then adjustments. And I'm going to choose black and white. And it took all the browns out. And then I'm also going to go into the same spot, image adjustments, and mess with my levels. So this is the brightness and contrast. So if you want to pump up your contrast, I'm going to push my whites and push my darks and kind of play with that curve so I have just a little bit more contrast there. And now it's time to put the halftone. There's two filters that work. So screen printing cannot handle medium values. You have to put a filter on. So it's either tiny dots, tiny lines, or a black and white cutout. So I'm going to show you halftone. It's my favorite. Before you go there, make sure that your fill is on black and your foreground color is black and your background color is white. And so if it's not that way, the filter won't work right. So I'm going to go over here to filter gallery, and then halftone, you'll find it in the sketch folder. Here we are in halftone pattern. And you need to adjust the dots so that they're going to be a good size for the program to see and for your screen to work. So I mess with the size of my dots. Again, the bigger the dots and the more contrast you have, the easier it's going to turn out on your shirt. But you know, you want to like it. I get that. You don't want it to look bad. So make sure that you like the way that it looks and that you can tell what it is. So I'm going to play around here just a second. If I go any bigger, then people can't tell what's going on. And I like seeing the shading some. That seems like a perfect mix for me. You do you. You hit OK. And then here's where the creativity stuff comes in. Like, how can I take this photo, whether it's mine or off the internet? So I saw this and it reminded me of my days back at the Have a Nice Day Cafe. I can't tell you why. So what I'm doing right now is I'm alt dragging a copy. So this is my active layer. I click on the alt key and I drag a clone. If you don't want to do that, then you can copy the layer over here. Plus, now you have two. And then back to Control T. So that's our resize menu, but you can also flip things. So I'm right clicking and I'm flipping. And I'm just going to kind of play around with this, like that. So I'm not plagiarizing. I made something new. The arrow tool is the one you're going to use a lot. So if I drag a box like this, see how both are selected? Control T. And I can make that take up as much of the space as I can. And now I want to add some typography. So I told Ella and some other folks I was going to show you this. So once I got my idea, I just start opening tabs. So I know that I want to put the name of the cafe there. I've got the font open, the font.com, and I wanted to look at kind of Hindu. So I was doing this, have, and I chose Arabic fonts, and I really thought this was cool. So rather than type the whole thing out, I'm putting the words that I know I'd want to have separate and be able to play with. So I use the snip tool, Windows Shift S, or you can open the snip tool and use it. So it just took a little screenshot and then Control V to paste. Here it is. Do you remember how to resize? Control V. There. And then I could get the eraser and erase all this white out of here, but here's a hack. On your blend mode right now on the layers window, it is normal. If you drop that down to multiply, it makes your white invisible. And so it's a lot easier to play around. And so I kind of just went and you got all my words. I kind of put the thing. And so this is what I ended up with. This is my shirt design. And now that I'm looking at it, I wish I would have spread it out more like this one here, but it's okay. I'm going with it. It's kind of cluttered. So there's a lot going on. So maybe I won't. But once you get your design the way you want, okay, there's brushes. There's the type tool. Like I typed Kansas City here in a different font. Then you're just going to print it and give it to me. I make your transparencies. So that's a super fast crash course. It has to be black and white. Oh, I remembered. I was going to show you the other filter. I have my original over here, I think. Did I save it? Yes. So I'm going to bring this one over. Plop. Okay, so there's my original photo. The other filter, Control T, that I was going to see if you liked. There's a couple. So if halftone's not working for you, you always have to hit check mark. Filter gallery, and then, so I'm on the wrong layer. I got to be on this layer. Filter gallery. Okay, under artistic, it's called cutout. And basically you just want to have 2 levels. And you can play around with this here. So I don't like that nearly as much, but let's see what it looks like. And that's not black and white, so I have to go to image, adjustments, make it black and white. And then image, adjustments, and levels. So again, there cannot be any gray. So it's got to be black and white, like this. Okay. So you can try that. That's the cutout filter. Control Z to back up. Okay, another thing you can try is threshold. That's under adjustments. Let me see if it's here. It is, but since we're familiar with image adjustments over here, image adjustments and then down to threshold. That is similar kind of to what I just did with the cutout and all that, but threshold will just give you black and white. So you're not messing around with halftone dots. It's black, it's white. If it works on your photos, it gives it kind of that punk rock photocopy look. That's another really good way to do it. Okay, happy designing.